across the pavement, hoping it'll cave and swallow me whole. Wonder why my mind keeps on spinning. This is how I live into me, what so.
This group economics, this selflessness. You can't be selfish. It's too much selfishness. And that's the problem with our culture is like we glorify and we promote selfishness. And then we wonder why we don't have anything.
Yeah. You hit a lot on the head, man. I want to go specifically to the culture and the family model because I know that for a fact that's one of the biggest things that's missing, right? A couple summers ago, I created the Black Standard and the Wealth Standard, right? And, you know, that was one of the first things y'all interviewed me on. And it was simply looking at the fact that we don't have standards towards wealth. We don't have many standards towards anything in our culture, right? So it's hard to hold yourself accountability when there's no standards, right? If there's a book called Oriental Wealth Seekers, and it gives a breakdown on some of the standards that, you understand me, Asian's family uses in order to model their economics, right? And basically everybody in that family has a role, right? It's an agreed upon role that's already constructed before you're born that you enter into. And it's an understanding that this individual is not the importance, right? It's the collective and what you can bring to the collective. That's also within the African system that, you know, everybody not about to get around you. You getting around what skill sets, what value you can bring to add more value to the culture itself. But what we miss is any standards of value that we agree upon. Like, so let's say within the culture that we're creating right now is that we want to have standards in this culture, that there are certain things you can't do within this, you know, wealth movement that we're creating if you want to consider yourself to be a peer and do good work. You understand me? Like you can't take advantage of the people. The over branding of lifestyle is another thing that we cutting and slashing down as that's not going to be a part of the standards within this culture. If we go look at hip hop, right? Because hip hop has to consistently be used because it's the one communication system that we have all around the world that whether you're in Africa, whether you're in Brazil, whether you're in the UK, that all melanated people all across the world listen to, right? Which establishes a link of communication that we consider to be culture, and it creates these norms, right? So when we look at hip hop has no standards though, right? Now, a person can get on a beat and they can create a hit and they can talk about killing, murder, robbing, shooting, rape. They can talk about anything. As long as it becomes a hit, a person will listen to that, they get accepted into culture, and nobody is checking each other because there's no system of accountability. No matter how weird a person does, no matter how left they go, you do not see those people that engage into hip hop or the rap world check each other like men and women, right? Because there's no standard of actually being a man or a woman in that culture. So it's like the basics, right, of how family would operate with standards and culture don't even exist in ours right now. So at the same time, we trying to advance people to different levels to say, okay, y'all need to do business with family. We need to set up trust and SOPs and learn how to set up the LLCs and learn how to do investment strategies and how to protect yourself and how to train. And it's like, we haven't even got established on how, you know, in the Oriental Wealth Seekers, there's a relationship on how the younger brother and the older brother supposed to interact, how the sister and the dad supposed to interact, how the mother and the oldest son supposed to interact. Like all of these are standards that they have. So once you find yourself in that position, you play your part, right? And the family is able to eat and benefit and grow cohesively. So within our family is dysfunction. Nobody knows their role and everybody want to play any role, and we want to disrupt and destroy all of the roles that came before us. So now we have to get to a point where we're creating new standards of operation that the culture can agree upon. And when we see somebody that doesn't meet that, we say, wait a minute, that's not how we moving. That's not, you can't get our support anymore because you no longer meet our standards. You understand me? And then we learn how to check each other, not from a place of emotion. You understand me? Because anything that happens in public, these are the rules. As I grew up FOI, right? If it happens in public, you get checked in public. If it happens in private, you get checked in private, right? It's learning the proper handling of people. So we don't automatically, we start fighting each other, killing each other, murdering each other. It's like, no, we learn how to handle confrontation. We learn how to consult with each other. We learn how to build in real operation. But we can't conflict resolution. That is one of the biggest issues that black men have in America and across the world, is that we do not know how to resolve conflict man to man. We don't know how to speak to each other and communicate without pride, ego, envy, jealousy, right? Insecurities, and all these other things that challenge and trigger us. And we're not willing to participate in looking at ourselves and self-evaluate. And we always look outside ourselves for the issue. So there's a level of maturity that has to be established. And your money does not establish your readiness to be in front of the people as a leader and speak. And that's one thing that we have to strip the money of its power that it has in our culture. Because a person now, they can flash money in front of young, right, impressionable people, and they get them to follow. They flash in front of our women, and the women come, oh, that's a high value man. Those are not standards, right, that are connected to value systems. You understand me? Because shit, a person could have got lucky on an altcoin, you understand me, on some Shiba Inu and became a millionaire. So that's a man that you go date, ladies, or that's a man that you go follow, fellas? Hell no. You understand me? That man don't have none of those principles and what it takes to actually be a man. So at the core of this conversation is learning how to be men and women again. And then we got to separate those who actually are for the culture and those who are for themselves.
I agree, brother. I agree. I feel like conflict resolution is extremely, extremely important, and it's something that they should actually be teaching that in school. But you know, there's so many issues, so many people that's in jail, so many people that's dead because pride, ego, and emotion. And it never really goes away. The same emotions, ego, pride that a 6-year-old has, a 60-year-old has. Like, you know what I mean? It's just, it just gets more dangerous when you become older. But the conflict resolution part is extremely, extremely, extremely important. Extremely important. And I feel that, you know, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. And I just feel that, you know, people just have to just open up their eyes. That's it. It's not to really like chastise people, because I always look, before I criticize somebody, I try to look to see how they were thinking. Because, you know, I'm like, maybe somebody wasn't aware, maybe somebody's upbringing was different, maybe that, you know what I mean? I always try to look at it from their standpoint, because you can't look at it from your standpoint, right? Like you can't expect somebody to think how you think, because your upbringing might be different, your education might be different, your value system might be different. So you got to put yourself in their shoes.
But what point do we chastise, though?
Huh?
At what point do we chastise? Because chastisement is a system that keeps order and law.
You know what, though? I feel like the chastisement doesn't really necessarily, it's the power's with the people. Power's with the people. And this is something that even if you look at the success of our platform, your platform, right? Like Earn Your Leisure was championed by the people, is championed by the people. So I feel like the people, because people will say all the time, well, like positive hip hop isn't pushed on the radio. Yeah, that's true. But ultimately, the people make a decision. We have to take responsibility as a people. We put people in power. Like I said, you look at the white community and they got rock and roll, they got all that stuff, but there's a balance, because the general public is not supporting just straight nonsense. They've made decisions as a conscious group of people to support what they want to support. So ultimately, we can blame the white man, we can blame America, and all that is very true. But at the end of the day, we black from America. You wasn't supposed to be successful to begin with. Like my man Derek Falcon said, if you black, you gotta go outside with an umbrella when it's sunny, because anything can happen. You gotta prepare for that at the beginning. So it's not really a time to make excuses, blame the system, blame record companies. Yeah, you're already up against an uphill battle. That's been the case since we got here. But a certain level of responsibility has to be taken from an individual standpoint, because whatever you champion, that is what's going to be pushed. If we continue to champion nonsense, if we continue to champion, you know, gang culture, if we continue to champion things that's detrimental to us, this is what we're going to get. When we decide not to champion that and we decide to champion other things, those people are going to go into the other route. So ultimately, the power is with the people. The people will lead with their vote. It's like an election. They vote. The people vote their leaders. Leaders are not, there's no dictators in this game. The people vote who they want to lead them. The people vote which platforms they want to receive information from. The people vote to see what's most important. And
You can easily bend the limbs, but when that tree gets deep rooted and grows, if you try to bend the limb, it'll break. And so you're looking at these baby boomers, and the coding and programming is so embedded in them for so many years that it's they've become rooted trees. They've grown and they've got stiff bark, and you can't really bend those limbs. They'll just snap. And a lot of them aren't ready for that information. So you have to just, when I tell people who always ask me, how do I get my family members to wake up, and how do I said, you just be the light. You just do what you do. Don't put pressure on them. Every now and then you may drop a gentle seed, and that's about it. And just let them look at your life and how you're moving. Eventually they may start to ask some questions. Right. And then you can answer the question and walk away. Don't go too deep again. Just little bit at baby steps, a little bit at a time. Some of them will come along, some of them may not. Just be happy that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, and you're finding yourself. And then others will also see how you're moving and how you're living through this matrix. And then they will then begin to ask you questions. And some people will jump right on in with you full blown. Some people will take time. It's a gradual process, but like you said, you can't overdo it.
Everybody's in their own game.
Exactly. Lead
That's
by
right.
example. Just lead by example. If it's not for you, it's not for you. If it's
Right.
like,
and you know them by their fruit.
Yes. Right. Right.
It's like, did we miss that message? Like, you know people by their fruit, meaning their actions show you who they are.
Exactly.
So that whole I'm woke because you, so here it is. Let's go back. I was about to go full into that, which is, okay, you got the information. You got all his knowledge. Neo, when he went, he got into the chair, got the thing plugged into him, and he was sitting there for hours just downloading information, right? And he said, and he told Morpheus, I know Kung Fu. Morpheus said what? Show me.
Right.
Oh, right. You know. Show me.
Exactly.
Right. It's the action that proves it.
So he went in that simulation again to show him he knew Kung Fu. And what did Morpheus do? He whipped his ass.
Yep. Beat him down.
He beat him down. He's training him the whole way. Yeah, you learn some information, but you can't apply it.
Until you apply that information, it's not real. It's not in this realm. It doesn't exist. It just exists in your mind.
Yes.
Until you apply it.
Absolutely. That happens to me all the time. People